If suicide is something that is difficult for you to hear or talk about, this might not be the episode for you. If you or a friend might be struggling with harmful thoughts, I'm putting resources in the description of this episode. And welcome to another episode of Help with Natalie Cuomo. I'm here with the amazing comedian Jim Florentine. How are you today?
You said it to everybody that comes in, though.
That they're amazing?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I like to start you off, fluff you up.
All right. Oh, so you're a fluffer. That's good to know.
Well, I guess.
All right.
I am a theoretical fluffer.
All right.
But not sexually.
Yeah, but that's the only fluffer. That's the only word. It's just sexually. There's nothing else you go to when you hear fluffer.
Okay, so I'm here with comedian Jim Florentine.
All right, so let me fluff you up for a second. First of all, I was at your special that you recorded a couple weeks ago. You fucking killed.
Why, thank you.
2 shows, sold out. Did amazing, both shows.
Thanks, Jim.
You got a killer special, whatever it's going to be, it's going to be. But everything, I mean, every joke worked pretty much. The crowd loved you. Your mom was there. I met your mom. It was great, man. I was proud of you that night.
My mother told you my life story.
I know, because she kept coming over. Like, why are you? What is your mom telling me? I go, she's telling me some fucking deep shit.
My mom was talking to you for so long. This water's going to keep spilling.
I know. She was talking to me a while. But seriously, you did great. It was amazing. It was a great night
Jim.
for you.
I'm so happy you're the voice of God on my album.
Oh, yeah. I introduced
That's
it.
very
But
exciting.
No, it was good because Joe List opened the one show.
Yeah,
and then
and you, Dan Lamore, Hannah Berner.
Yeah. And it was...
Fucking killer lineup.
Yeah, and the crowds were great. And
it was so fun.
No, it's great. I mean, you're not even doing comedy that long. To do that is great, man. I've done a few specials, and I've been at other people's specials. I watched a bunch of Jim Norton's. It's just cool to be there and watch it go down.
It was the most special night of my whole career. So
yeah,
thank you for being there.
Anyway, you were great. So I just fluffed you up. How's that?
I'll compliment you.
All right, yeah, thank you.
So your 7th... So, Terrorizing Telemarketers 7 just came out with you and Don Jamieson.
Yes.
Where you terrorized telemarketers. And it was #1 on iTunes.
Still is.
Starting at 4 a.m. the day it came out.
Yeah, the day it came out.
That's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, it helps with people pre-ordering and people are excited. We haven't put one out in a while. Look, if you're into prank calls, if you're not, you don't get it. I understand that, but there's a ton of people there that like prank calls, especially when you mess with telemarketers. I started it like 20 years ago as a goof. I was just had time during the day not to do anything, so I just wait for telemarketers to call and fuck with them. And it just came into this whole series, and it launched my career basically by making prank calls. Who would have known? And then during the lockdown, nothing was going on, and I called Don up. I go, Don, why don't we do another CD? Do another telemarketer thing. He's like, I remember him going, he goes, don't you think people are beat up enough right now? I go, Don, they're telemarketers. He's like, you know what, you're right. So we started like in, I don't know, like September 2020.
I feel like every time I go with you on the road, people are coming up to you afterwards and they're begging for another telemarketers.
I know, it's crazy.
Album. They're always like, Jim, I need another one. And you're like, it's coming. So people are so stoked for that to be out, and it's amazing. So
thank you. Yeah.
And you've put out 8 stand-up albums, 7 telemarketers out. You've got 15 albums out.
Yeah, and then there was a whole hidden camera series, Meet the Creeps, that me and Don Jamieson did also.
And you've got your special. It just came out on Amazon, Bite the Bullet.
Yeah, it's on Amazon Prime, Bite the Bullet. So
I got to
keep
drinking. This is spilling.
Maybe you're nervous. Mm-mm. I didn't think so.
The table is shaking.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, so look, as a comic, and what'd you say you do? How long are you doing it again? Like 4.5 years, something like that?
Maybe 4 years and 8 months.
Okay, but that's... That's like a girl in a relationship. She knows exactly when you guys started dating. That 4 years and 8 months. Like, it's all right, close enough. We have to celebrate an anniversary. We're almost at 5 years.
Started March 3rd, 2018.
Okay.
How many months is that?
I don't know.
April, May, June, July, August, September. Oh, it is 4.5. Fuck me.
No, but still, just at 4.5 years to be where you are right now is great.
Thank you. I've worked my fucking ass off.
No, and that's great, and that's why
I've worked harder than anybody else. No, I'm kidding.
I see. I see your work ethic. It's almost like when Jim Norton first started. Jim Norton had never missed a night doing stand-up. If his parents died in a car crash, he'd still go do a set that night. He'd leave the wake early. That's how he was. And I'm like, this guy's... And I live with him. He was my roommate. He's still my best friend to this day. But I never saw... And that guy, he got ahead a lot further than everyone else because he was out there every night. And I see that in you, too. I was even telling Jim that the other day. I go, that's great to see. And if anyone else is jealous, these other comics get jealous because things are happening to you quicker than they're happening to them. It's too fucking bad. Then go work.
It's so funny. I was talking to someone the other day, and thank you, that means a lot. And they said, we can see that you're really going somewhere because of the stuff other comics are saying about you. And I was like, what are other comics saying about me? And he goes, they're saying she doesn't deserve a special.
Yeah, see, that's what it is.
That's what they say.
I know, and it's tough because, I went through it the time when I started breaking a little. You don't know who your friends are. All of a sudden, these people that you thought were your friends, these comics, they get jealous because the guy would be like, well, I'm doing it 6 years. She's only doing it 4 years and 8 months. Why is she doing better than me? Well, maybe because you go to the fucking bar every night and go get drunk and you're not writing jokes.
I don't have friends, yeah.
You're not right. Well, that's a whole other issue why you don't have friends, but I heard from your mom why. But seriously, because you're focused and stuff, and I'm getting shit done. I told your mom, I said, she's exactly where she's supposed to be in her career. She's, in her 20s, living in your basement, and that's where you should be right now. You know what I mean? And you just, because I told you, I said, if you move out and go to New York City and get an apartment for $5,000 a month, a little shoebox, then you're going to have to take shit gigs on the road, and you're not going to be focusing where you need to be at the stand or whatever, your New York sets and your podcasts and all that stuff. So, no, I'm happy for you. I always I never got jealous of other comics when they were coming up. I'm like, hey, man, there's room for everyone. That was always my theory. And if some guy was doing better than me that I thought I was better than him, I just used it as motivation. I'm like, okay, if he can do it, then I can do it. I never got mad. I never got jealous, ever. But I feel where you're at in your career where people are starting to, talk behind your back because they're jealous. And it happened to me when I started breaking. It really fucked me up because I thought they were my friends. I remember it was it was almost like going through a breakup. It really is, because you're like, wait a minute, I thought that person was my friend. Now they're trashing me because they're jealous. And now you're like, well, who are my real friends in this business? It sucks. It really does. Everyone should just be rooting for each other. Everyone's trying to take down comics. In this business, the media, everyone coming after you, put a joke out there, cancel them, all this shit. We should all stick together. When I started, all the comics stuck together in that aspect, where if they came after somebody. Now everybody throws each other under the bus. They're jealous. It's like they're a bunch of fucking babies. I said, just find your little small crew of comics. You hang with them, and that's what you do. I have my little small crew that I've been friends with for years, and that works for me. And everyone else, hey, how you doing? Yeah, good to see you. Yeah, whatever. Who gives a fuck?
It's so crazy because if people spend if you spend half the time you spend talking shit about other comics working on your own set, then maybe you'd be fucking funny.
Exactly. You spend too much time. Yeah. Do we gossip about comics?
I never talk about other comedians. I never look at what other comedians are doing. If I did, then I probably wouldn't that time you spend, you could be spending writing jokes or captioning a clip or
right.
I don't know, fucking doing a podcast. It's crazy.
Well, the problem, first of all, you get in the comedy business, everyone's a fucking maniac. So you're dealing with maniacs to begin with.
Psychopaths.
Yeah, psychopaths, fucking, got problems. So you're not dealing with a normal bunch. I live in a normal neighborhood, and just being around normal
humans
people.
Just walking around.
It's amazing how just normal they are.
It's awesome.
They're married. They love each other. They friggin' smile. There's no tension.
It's great.
They're not go. Why was he talking to the neighbor over there? None of that. I'm like, So, but anyway, you're doing great. I'm proud of you.
Thank you, Jim. It means a lot.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So there's my fluff to you.
Thank you. I love a fluff. I do like to ask. Oh, I forgot to take the tarot deck out. I have to get it. Please hold.
Okay.
Please hold.
All right. Good. Now we're going to be reading cards.
We have to.
I remember one girl read my cards one time. She's like, oh, man, I don't even want to. No. She's like, I don't even want to tell you.
What'd she say?
She didn't tell me. Something bad was coming.
They just have to sit here.
Oh, what is this? Some kind of vibe or something?
They have to absorb your energy.
Oh, really?
I can't believe I forgot.
So they're gonna this box is gonna. Do you have to take the lid off? Because
no.
Yeah, but how's it gonna absorb my energy if the box is if it's?
Jim, do you really feel like your energy's not powerful enough to penetrate a piece of cardboard?
No, I don't. I would at least take it off. You know what I mean? Because it's like
Take it off if that's what your gut is
No,
telling
I'm just
you.
saying if you know.
If that's what your gut is telling you, please unbox the deck.
I'm just saying this.
Unbox
I'm
the
not
deck.
saying this towards you. I'm just saying that every girl I knew that was into tarot cards is fucking crazy. I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying.
Are you calling me crazy?
No, I just said everyone that I knew was into it. I
And
don't
what
know
about me? You know me very well.
I don't know if you're into them though.
You know that I'm into them.
Then, all right, then. Well, that's fine, but that makes you a good comic. You need to be crazy.
So you're calling me crazy?
Yeah, you need to be crazy. I mean, it's just go crazy. No, I remember like I saw your set the other night when you were out in the patio outside in the stand. It's horrible. People are walking by. It's still you're on stage, but
that was nuts.
It's outside. There's freaking sirens going by, and people are just staring at you. Some guy came in. He knew somebody in the front row, and he's like, "Hey, man, how you doing?" Good. Like 2 feet in front of you, and it's like you have to be a psychopath to deal with that. Like
that was so insane.
That's an awful day at work for someone. Like that just got your 15 minutes up there and it's completely interrupted for like 4 minutes. So you have to be a psycho and crazy. So I understand why you're into tarot cards is what I'm trying to say.
That was crazy. There was a fucking, the whole front row was these 4 dudes. And this man comes up, he's their driver.
Yeah.
And he has like a whole fucking 5-minute conversation with them.
Like 2 feet away from you.
Right in front of me.
And didn't even care. Like you were like,
and I'm like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
So,
all right, I'll unbox them.
Well, whatever works for you. I don't want to kill your vibe.
Do you think that you're crazy?
A little bit, yeah.
Do you think you have like a syndrome like most guys have where like you feel like you need to fix people?
Please. Why do you think I'm here?
Do you think you think you can?
No, yes, I do.
You think you can fix me?
No.
No?
No, I'm done trying to fix.
Oh, you're done? Or
Yeah.
I'm just too broken?
You're not as broken as some of my past women in my life that I've known. Okay. Not that you're a woman. Not that you're a woman in my life.
Okay.
But just as a friend, I'm just saying. Like I've seen a lot worse.
Okay.
But yeah, you always think you can. You think you're like, you're a guy, so you could fix it. You could, just when you have an argument with your girl, you're like, okay, well, let me fix this, and maybe she doesn't need it fixed. She just wants to vent.
Oh, I feel that way. Like sometimes people will vent to me, and I'll be like, "Oh, but what if you do this?" And they're like, "I just wanted to vent."
Yeah. But that's always a guy's thing. It's like, well, I could fix, and you're supposed to just listen to a woman. She doesn't really want to fix. She just wants you to listen.
I feel like I'll vent to a guy. They won't hear anything that I say, and then they'll just start talking about like their fucking left ass cheek or something.
Yeah. And what do you do?
I don't know. I'm like, ew, I don't like you.
Well, maybe, yeah. I mean, yeah. He just like, what the fuck? I just asked her how her day was. I didn't know it was going to go on for 8 minutes.
I think I talk maybe. I think maybe I overshare maybe in there. Like, yeah.
But that's all right. You're getting it out. You're letting it out.
I do. I decide this is my time. I'm just going to talk.
But that's all right. Like I said, you let your rage out. Sometimes you need that, whether it's on stage. Like, that's it's good therapy. Like I've gone through some shit in my life where I just went on stage and talked about it. And it was like my therapy. Like I did go to therapy too for it, but it really helped just hashing it out every night and getting it off my chest.
What advice do you have for someone that maybe gets waves of anger?
Let them ride.
What do you mean?
Let the anger ride. It's all normal.
What do you mean by let the anger ride?
Because it's like it's a roller coaster of emotions you have. You're allowed to be angry. You'll go to any good therapist will tell you, you don't have to. I was always afraid to go to therapy because I figured they're going to take my anger away, and that's where my comedy comes from. So I was always afraid if they fix me and I'm not angry anymore, what am I going to write about? Because my comedy always comes from anger. It's
so funny. I feel like, okay, 2 things. One, I feel like I'm a very angry person.
Yeah.
And so I feel like my writing comes from my anger, but if I get a rush of rage before I go on stage, I feel like it ruins my set. And I want to be able to like deal with that before I go on stage. Like if something pisses me off, like it disrupts my set. Like I'll still have a good set, but it won't be the set I want it to be, number 1. And then number 2, Jim Norton said to me once, he said that Colin Quinn said to him that like anger can block creativity.
It definitely can. Absolutely. If you're angry all the time, it can. Yeah, I hate when someone gets me angry before a set. Like, like a girlfriend or a wife or whatever sends you, you're fighting. I'm like, don't fuck my setup because I'm going to bring it up on stage. Some people like that. I have a comic friend. He's like, I need to be angry when I get on stage. So I whisper in his ear. I go, your wife's fucking your neighbor right now. You know it, because he was always worried about that. I go, they're definitely fucking. I put it right in, and then you walk on stage. You have a great set.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
That doesn't see. I feel like I can't deal with the rage. Like I
No,
think the
I don't
rage
like-
helps me write, but it doesn't help me on stage. I get too like mean.
Well, what you have to do when it's showtime, when you're going on stage, you got to just, don't have any deep conversations with people. Don't be texting someone that you might be fighting with about something in the industry. Just, you got to block that shit out.
Sometimes it'll just be like the host says something that pisses me off, and I'll be like,
What's the host saying that would
I
piss you
don't know.
off?
Like I get so mad so quickly.
Well, you got to channel that rage. No, I think anger definitely could block your creativity. But when I went to the therapist, I was afraid. And he's like, listen, I'm not taking your anger away. You're still going to have it. Just use it, wisely.
How do you use it wisely?
You just try not to just let something little upset you, whatever it is, whatever, like the MC, whatever he said, like, why did that bother you?
I don't know, because it gave me an excuse to be angry. It was like a little thing that gave me an excuse to be like mad.
But did you want to be mad?
I don't know.
I don't know. Usually you're in a pretty good mood when I see you at the club or whatever. So,
Yeah, I guess.
yeah, I mean, I don't,
Maybe I'm
And your set-
PMSing.
probably. And your sets, your comedy's not angry, though.
No, it's not.
It's not. Like,
No.
you're super likable on stage.
I think so.
Like, you say awful, awful things, but you're super likable.
I say awful things.
Yeah, you do.
Really?
Yeah. And I like it. That's why I like your edge. But you do. So, but you're so likable up there. It works.
I like to say awful things.
I know. That's why I fucking, I'm like, oh, I think she's got something. That's why I was there with your tape, and I'm like, this is fucking great. That's why I said, I think that line about the fart and the cum, I think you could put this. I'm like, who talks like that? Like, that's a fucking Me Too moment. I'm telling a woman, hey, that fart and the cum joke? I think you should do it this way.
I'm so mad I forgot the vibrator lunchbox tag on my special.
Oh, yeah. But the outie thing worked with the belly button, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I always like to help comics. I always sit in the back and I try to come up with maybe a tagline for it. Hey, maybe do this or whatever. I like doing that.
Yeah.
I could say I'm good at that. Like, I'm good just watching and just thinking. I'm like, that would be good. I did it for my friend Saturday night. He did a show and I was in the audience and I wrote down a bunch of stuff for him.
That's fun.
Yeah.
So, you know how I always ask the best advice you ever received?
Oh, yeah.
You didn't think of anything, did you?
You didn't tell me how to do it this time.
You didn't have
I
to.
I got to do homework.
You don't have to do homework. I just figured you're so quick.
Well, the best advice is, just like I was saying, like you gotta, with the comics, basically. I was friends with Andrew Dice Clay. He gave me a lot of great advice too. He goes, look, because when he broke, everybody was jealous too. Whatever. He's like, look, leave him in the dust. It's not your problem. It's not your problem. It sucks. But then, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna not advance your career and not keep writing material and getting up every night because there's other people jealous because you're doing better than them? So you just want me to sit home? I mean, think how stupid that is. Like in any job, everybody wants to get to the top. Everybody wants to get to the next level, next level, next level. In any business and everything, that's what you strive for. So just that you're getting there before some other people that started with you at the same time or even after, that's not your fucking problem.
How do you deal with like the highs and lows of so you've put out 15 albums and recording an album is such a fucking high, especially if it goes well. I felt so good. I felt like on top of the world. Then after that, I'm like, nothing is matching that high. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, I know it is. It is a big come down.
Yeah.
You have to be grounded. You know what I mean? I remember coming off going to the MTV Music Awards. I did it with Eminem. I did a bit with Eminem. And then the next day I was mowing my lawn. So it's like you gotta separate the two, and then but you strive to you work your ass off to get that material, to get it ready. You put the album out, you shoot it, and then basically you have to start from scratch. It's a little overwhelming because you're like, thank God, now I can move on. Now I can start working on new material. I'm gonna get rid of that. And I'm gonna start working on my next album. But then when you realize you got a blank piece of paper in front of you, you got no jokes. You're like, fuck. What am I gonna do now? So you get a little. So you go through that all the time. Everybody goes through that. You know, so you just start slowly building. Look, you're in it for the long haul. If you're in it to do it for a few more years and get out, then worry about it. But you're in it for the long haul. So no, it is. It is tough to come down after that. But I told you that night, I said, you're going to have a bunch of highs, you're going to have a bunch of lows in your career. You just got to, you know, I never get too high over stuff and I never get too low over stuff. I try to keep it in the middle.
But do you feel like you have control over that?
Yeah. And that's bothered every female in my life. To like, you show no emotion.
You show emotion.
Well,
it's just very subtle.
It's very subtle.
It's very subtle. You just have to. It's subtle.
Yeah. Well, I know. Well, maybe that's what it was. But they always said they always. I'm always like take it like I don't care. Mm-hmm. But I do. But I'm just like, yeah, whatever. It's another day. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, what are you gonna do? It's part of life.
Right.
So, but yeah. So that's the advice.
So you've been through a lot in your life.
Yeah. I met your mom.
I would say that
your mom was cool.
My mom is a celebrity. She's
funny.
a favorite.
She's funny. Like
she is funny.
She's funny and she's got dirty jokes like you. Like I know where you got it from. Like she's edgy. Like I was like I got to be proper around her, and she's just doing the sex jokes.
I know. We were in the green room and she was making these crazy sex jokes.
Yeah, she even said some girl was talking to me, and the girl said something like. She's like, yeah, I fucked Jim for the last 20 minutes. And your mom even said, to how many times did you have to go the last 20 minutes? I thought, that's a fucking great line.
Wait, what?
Your mom said, like, how many times did you have to have sex to go 20 minutes? Like, the full. Yeah, I'm like, that's a good line. It was funny. I'm like, I like her. I like the way she thinks. I said 3, by the way. And that's what a bathroom break.
Were you flirting with my mom?
No, I could have, but the stuff she was telling me from your childhood, there was no flirting.
What did she tell you?
No, it wasn't that bad. No, it wasn't that bad. We were just making it up. Like whenever you come over, you're like, "What are you guys talking about?" Like, whatever.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't that bad. I was just talking about the business tour and all that shit.
Yeah.
So.
No, she had a great time.
I'm sure she did.
Yeah.
No, she sat for both shows. She was laughing. I was watching her. She was just admiring you up that stage. It was really cool to see. Like she was so happy for you. She stayed for both shows. She was laughing, and she laughs at the most inappropriate jokes too.
I know.
Like you would think, like, oh man, nah, that's my daughter up there. But no, she laughs at those even more.
There's a moment in my life where I realized my mom likes dirty jokes, and I was like, oh my God, Mom, you have a filthy mind.
Yeah.
You got a filthy mind.
But no, she's cool. I like your bond that you have with her.
She's my favorite.
Good.
Yeah, she's my favorite person. I
need
love her
that,
so
you
much.
know?
I don't know what I would do without her. She's just an amazing person. So I had John on his camera there taking photos, and he did take a bunch of photos of my mom during the show. So I have photos of my mom laughing through the show.
You should get that blown up, put it on your wall. You know what I mean? Put it like an 8x10. You really should. That's a cool moment, like her laughing from the crowd, and you're up there. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
You should.
But it's I feel very lucky about that. She's awesome.
Yeah, that's what I say. Focus on that. Focus on your mom, your good relationship with your mom. Most
dog.
comics don't get a good relationship with their parents.
Yeah, but I don't give a shit about most comics.
No, but I'm just saying. So they're coming. At least you got a supportive mom.
Yeah.
That likes what you do and supports you and stuff like that. So that's good.
Yeah.
No, my parents were both supportive too when I first started. They're like, all right, well, as long as he's not a complete fuck up. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, so getting back to, yes, I've been through some shit, but, what are you going to do? That's
do you feel like
life.
it made you funnier?
No, not necessarily.
No.
But getting back to the albums, like if I go through some stuff in life, I'll do a whole album about it. I'll do a whole special about it. I went to my divorce. I did a whole special on my divorce. I had an ex-girlfriend that committed suicide, a girlfriend at the time, so I did a whole one-man show about that. It's like, okay, as a writer, whether a musician or a comic, if some shit goes on in your life, it might take a while to write about it. It might take a while you feel comfortable, but then I'm like, this is golden. This is
How much space do you take after something like very tragic happens to write about it and feel comfortable talking about it in front of a large group of people?
Well, the divorce one, it took me a while because I really thought my career was over. Like I got blindsided or whatever. But I couldn't come up with any material for like, I was so fucked up for like 3 months.
Why'd you think your career was over?
Because I couldn't come up with any new material. So I was going back on the road and I was just doing like the greatest hits. Because I always like working on new material. That's what I love, getting up on stage and working bits out and just keep working on them. So I was like, I felt for like 3 months I couldn't write any jokes. And then once I wrote one about my divorce, it just within like a day and a half, I had 15 minutes on it. The floodgates just fucking went wide open. And that was the stand helping me because they let me do it there. The old stand, they're like, dude, work it out here. We loved it. And it was so fucking angry. Oh, my God. But then I shaped it up and I put a special out, of it. But with my ex-girlfriend, my girlfriend, that was more of a one-man show. I couldn't do that in a comedy club because it was too personal. People I'm talking about, my girlfriend's suicide, so it's tough to get laughs when there's a lot of serious moments in it too.
What did you, as someone that's used to getting laughs when you perform, like was there, like as a comic, I feel like we look for that laughs as like to know that the audience is with us, right? Like we are like, okay, you're with me, you understand me. Like, is there something that you felt or you looked for as you were going through moments in the one-man show to know that the audience was with you? Was it an energy you felt? Like, what was that experience like?
Colin Quinn helped me out a lot because I wrote the whole thing. I wrote the one-man show, and I was telling Colin, he's done a bunch of them. I said, Colin, can you help me with this? He goes, all right, when you're done with it, come over to my apartment and just read it in front of me. So I went there and I read it in front of me. He's like, and he made some notes. He goes, just remember, he goes, the silence in like a little theater when you do a one-man show, that means they're listening. So you don't have to get to the joke. 'Cause I like getting my jokes quick. I got quick setup punch. I don't like to tell. I'm not too much of a storyteller on stage. And then I just hit him, boom, boom, boom. And it messed with me at first because you feel like you're bombing.
Right.
But he said, just remember that. Always remember when they're listening. Especially when you're in a little theater, it's not, you're not a stand-up club where they're giving drinks out and checks and all that shit. So it was tough for me at first because I was like, man, I went 3 minutes without getting a laugh. But I'm talking about, the night when my girlfriend, did that. So I'm not expecting to get laughs, but it was a good part of the story to tell.
Do you feel like you're as good of a person as you are because of the hardships that you went through?
I don't know if I'm a good person.
Well, you're a good person.
I don't know. I mean, I take care of my son. That's what I'm supposed to do.
Do you feel like it made you a better person? Like, do you feel like it like opened your heart up to have more empathy, or like how do you feel like going through these things like changed the person that you are?
Yeah, it definitely did. It made me have more empathy. Yeah, I mean, and just when someone goes through something like that, when someone goes through a suicide, it's a whole different kind of death. When someone's close like that happens to you, a friend or a family member or whatever, because it's not a regular car accident, a cancer or something like that, or a heart attack. So it's a whole other level of trying to get over something like that because it's just there's too many questions like why? Why did that person do that? And then you blame yourself because you're with that person. So then you think it was my fault that she did that. But it's not. It's, it's a lifelong of pain, and it just came to an end at that point. You know what I mean? So... But it's tough when you don't know anything about it. That's why I understand. Like that's what they should be teaching in school. Like how you see the signs of suicide. Someone that might be suicidal. Everybody should know that instead of the stupid math or whatever to teach. And you're never going to use that ever. But that's something that people really should know. So if there's a friend, when someone goes, I feel I'm just going to commit suicide. I'm just not happy. I'm never going to go anywhere. And you think that's just a cry for help, which everybody does. Oh, you're just joking. They're serious. Like they're really thinking about it. And I always thought, like, yeah, she's just looking for attention.
Is that something that she would say?
She would say that. Then, also I would just like to, lay down and never wake up again. That was another one. And that's another sign where, that's a sign that they're thinking about it. And then, I just want to, I feel like a burden. They always feel like they're a burden to somebody. Like if they're gone, they're going to be better off. Everyone else is going to be better off. And it's the 100% opposite of that. I think I'm just such a burden if I'm gone and no one's going to, everyone's going to be better off and I'm a pain in the ass. They think they're a pain in the ass. They're a burden. So if they do this to themselves, then... everyone's going to go, oh, God, thank God. Now I don't have to, that pain in the ass is gone. Now I can go live my life. And it's the complete opposite.
Is there any advice that you would give to someone who is feeling that way?
if it's tough because you can't. People don't understand. This is what happens. You'll go to me. I feel like I'm going to commit suicide. I'm so depressed. I'm like, why would you do that? You got your mom, you got your dog, you got your career. Your career's going good. You just recorded your first album. Everything. People love you. Or you got a ton of fans, right? And that's the last thing they want to hear. They don't. That doesn't compute because they're like they're not thinking that way. When someone's ready to commit suicide, all they're thinking is being out of pain at that moment, and that's it. They're not thinking who's going to find them. They're not going to think about how depressed your mom would be, how your dog's going to miss you. None of that stuff. Also, in that moment, because people that have survived it, an attempt, have told that I just wanted to be out of pain. In that moment, I didn't give a fuck about anything else. So when you say you got so much to live for, you're not supposed to say that. That doesn't mean anything to them. When you meet somebody and they're thinking that, like, I understand where you're coming from. I get it. I felt like that before. I understand why you're thinking about committing suicide. That makes it like, holy shit, this person gets me. It's a relief. And like, why don't we try to get you help? Let's go. You know what I mean? Let's talk to your family or something like that. Bring you to a hospital. Check in, 48 hours or whatever like that. So that's what you need to do. Like, that's the right thing to say. And it's like, that shit should be out there. Everybody should know that. But you always think, they're looking for attention. They're just saying that.
I feel like my community has a lot of people that struggle with depression and mental illness. And I feel like it's very common that people that I'm not that close with will talk about suicide, or people that I know from like online, right?
Yeah.
Like people that I'm like, maybe they're not my best friend, but they're like people that I just know, like acquaintances or casual friends. Like, what would you suggest for someone that's like, hey, like I'm feeling happy. I feel like I kind of wish I wasn't alive anymore. Like, what do you do?
If the thing you have to do is turn it over to family. You got to get in touch with their family because they have to handle it. As a friend or a casual friend or a comic that you kind of know, somehow you got to tell their parents or whoever their brothers, sisters, listen, this is your brother is scaring me. He's talking about suicide. You guys really need to take this serious. That family has to take care of it. That's where it's got to go.
And how would their family like really help them? Or like, how does a person really help that? Like, how can they really, what is that pain? Like what's happening there?
With what?
Like, how do you take that pain away? Can you ever take that pain away from someone? Are they always going to feel that way?
No, you can take it away because you can get them help. That they need help, obviously. They need to go to therapy. They need a psychologist, maybe go on medication. Go away for a few months, go to almost like a rehab type place, go to a hospital or whatever like that. You can. There's a lot of people that, done it once, did an attempt, and then they can live a happy life. They just got to get it together. It's usually a chemical imbalance you're born with. It's always when you're born with. It fucked me up when my girlfriend did it because I blame myself. And I remember I went to this shaman, which is a whole crazy story, but he just said, listen, you were chapter 3 in her life. Chapter 1 was the root of the problem. You weren't there for chapter 1. So you can't believe you just came along in chapter 3 and this is when it happened. But it started at chapter 1. It starts from the childhood. It's a fucked up childhood. It could be a chemical imbalance or whatever like that. It's a something devastated usually happened in their childhood. But it also could run in the family. There's a lot that it runs in the family, suicide and depression and stuff like that. So but when he told me that, it made me feel a lot better. That I couldn't blame myself. But you still get angry when one of your friends does it. Like, why would they do that to me? I was close to them. They're not thinking of anything. They're not thinking of you at that time. They're not thinking of anything. But you really have to go. Someone that's close to them, you have to notify them. It's almost like an alcoholic. I dealt with guys that need to go to rehab, and I would call their parents. I said, listen, your son he's going to die. He's not drinking that much. No, he is. I'm telling you, I'm around him. I know what's going on. He needs help. That's what you have to do, almost like an alcoholic. You got to go right to, hopefully you can track down their parents if it's someone online or whatever, but they need help.
How were you able to heal from such a traumatic situation? I mean, it was someone you were dating, someone you were in love with. You were with for 6 years. Like, that's like someone that I assume you thought you were going to spend your life with. Like, how do you heal from something like that?
Takes a long time. I went to these survivors of suicide support group meetings like the first week 'cause I started reading books on it, all this stuff. I said, I can't let this thing linger, because if I do, it might affect me 10 years from now or whatever. I got to deal with this head on. And I'd sit in these meetings where, parents lost their kids, and we just sit around and talk, almost like an AA meeting. So I'd go to them every week. That was really heavy to go to. It was tough. Some parents come in and their 21-year-old son just committed suicide, and you're like, holy shit, man. So it was really rough. You just got to, I just learned everything about it and all that, and just went to therapy and went to a shaman, did all that stuff, and just really, I moved back in with my mom at that point. I was like 40 years old. I said, I need to be taken care of, because it happened in the apartment that we were living in. I didn't want to go back in there. I walked in and found her, and I was like, I'm never going back there again. It was a fucking nightmare. There's no way I could just walk in there every night like nothing happened. So I never went back. I went back one time when I sold the place like 2 years ago, but I moved back in with my mom. I needed to be taken care of. So my mom, my sister, I was living with them. That's why when I tell you, at your age, you live with your mom. I was a mom. For probably about a year and a half, I needed to be taken care of. Even my therapist goes, go back home. You need to be taken care of. Let someone take care of you, because I was like, I can handle it, but I couldn't.
I think that's the biggest thing that it sounds like people have trouble dealing with, is like accepting that it's not your fault and there's nothing that you could have done. Like, how are you able to get to that place? It's like a roller coaster of emotions. You're angry. First of all, you're angry. Like, why did they do that to me? Like, how could you do that to me? And then you're mad at them. Then you're sad, obviously, and then you're afraid to be happy, because you're afraid to even smile. Like, how can I be smiling when this just happened? But at some point, you have to start healing and start. The scar's always going to be there, but you got to start moving on at some point. But you feel guilty about having a little fun, smiling, having a laugh, laughing at a joke, watching some show and laughing. Like, hey, what am I laughing at? This just happened a few weeks ago. All of it really fucks with your head big time. So it's just time. It's just time. You got to do the work. I was reading all these self-help books, doing all this stuff. There's a book called The Four Agreements. It's a great book. I read just all this, Oprah, fucking New Age shit. I did whatever I could, whatever I could get my hands on. I'm like, that's going to help me. How did you find the motivation to want to help yourself in a time like that? Like, I feel like so many people will experience that and then just like want to give up.
Because I didn't want it to affect the rest of my life. I gotta deal with this thing head on. My dad died when I was 28, had a massive heart attack right in front of me. I never really dealt with that. I missed him, of course, but I didn't really, it's just like I was young, and I was like, all right, well, it sucked. We were close. But I didn't. I was probably too young at the time. But when this happened, I was like, I gotta deal with this thing head on. And that's when I almost dealt with my dad's death later on, 14 years later, when she did that, because I dealt with them both at the same time. I kind of buried it, and I knew, instead of just mourning and just laying low, I didn't want to. I didn't want to accept it at the time, But no, you just have. It's all about time. It's like getting over a breakup, but like I said, with a suicide, it's a whole other level of too many questions and all that stuff. And then then you get the family blaming you because you were the last person with them. So then you got that deal. I'm dealing with that shit too. So it was rough. It was really heavy, but. It's just got to put the time in. You just got to wait. It's almost like your stand-up career. I'm just like, everything's going to come to you when it's going to come to you. You can't force it. If you're in it for the long haul, you just got to, when it comes, it comes.
It's such a crazy thing to go through. I'm so sorry that you experienced that.
Yeah, well, look, my mom was always like, she always saved people. My mom was like super religious. She would just bring people in off the street and like, oh, look, they're going to stay here for a few days, have a few meals, a hot meal. There was 7 of us in the house. We had a decent sized house, but still, it was like these strangers.
You have a huge family.
Yeah, and of her friends, one of her friends' mom went to a mental institute for a while, so she took those 3 kids in. So there was like 10 of us in the house. We come from a family of 7. So she just did that, and she was always in church, and she's like, you got to take care of people, you got to, trying to fix them or whatever, just, so that's every girlfriend I had was, I always picked that one, that I could fix this person is damaged, I'll take them in. It was almost like a rescue dog. I'll take them in. I'm gonna, and then when, I met her, she was in some crazy shit. She needed a place to stay. I said, just stay with me, and then she never left.
What do you feel like you gained from like helping people that way? Like, what did it make you feel?
No, it makes you feel good, but a lot of times they're not fixable.
Right.
You know, you think you could fix them, but they're not. So it's almost like, you get in a relationship and you're like, all right, I'm going to put up with this shit for the first 6 months, but then I'm going to fix this.
Has anyone ever tried to fix you?
Yeah.
Who's tried to fix you?
Yeah, I've had, a couple of. They try, but I'm very stubborn.
What do they try to fix you about?
Just because I'm white trash. They want me to have some class.
Like what?
I just live a simple life. I got the same 10 T-shirts. I fucking drive a used Honda Accord. I don't give a fuck about most stuff. And they're like, you got to, drive around in a nice car. I go, is someone going to like me better?
I think almost the hardest thing about going through something so vulnerable and so difficult is like, then you're in this position where like you've been really beaten down by life, and like other people like can like smell that, like I feel like you are in this position where you're like, you're heartbroken and this really terrible thing happened. And then you're in this place where like there are people that prey on people that are vulnerable that way.
Oh yeah. Well, you know what helped? What helped me get through it too? I forgot this. So about like 8 or 9 months after it happened, I went on the Howard Stern show and I told the whole story. And which, by the way, he was. I used to go on the show all the time. I still do once in a while, but he was calling me at home like once a week, checking in on me and stuff like that. It was really cool, But anyway, I went in there and I told the whole story about what happened. I must have got 100 different emails from people around the country that listened to the show and said, my girlfriend, my wife just did it, my boyfriend, and it was a whole community. We'd all talk. I talked to people on the phone for hours, a guy that just lost his wife or whatever like that, just these strangers that got in contact with me, emails, and that helped me just helping other people because I was ahead of them. If you're ahead of, when my girlfriend died, 4 months later, I got a little knowledge on what's going to happen. And then it happens to somebody, I go, well, this is what's going to happen. These are the stages you're going to go through. So that helped me out a lot. But yeah, then they prey on you. Then you meet somebody and they go, okay, if this guy could put up with all of this, then this guy, I got this guy and he's never going to leave me. If I didn't leave my ex, which, my girlfriend, which is, a crazy relationship, but I hung in there because I felt bad. She had nowhere to go. She was adopted. She hated her adopted family. She was in foster home. She got molested there. And I wound up tracking her. When I felt like she might be doing something, like she was bringing up the suicide stuff, I actually tracked down a real mom because I felt like if she can meet a real mom, maybe her mom can help her. So I did this private investigator. We found her mom. She was living out in California. We flew out there, went and met her, and they started having a really good relationship. But ultimately, that didn't work either. A year later, that's when it happened. But she was afraid. She's like, I don't want to meet my mom, my real mom, because what if she rejects me again? Because she had rejected her first time by giving her for adoption. So I was like, I got to take this chance because I didn't know if that was going to happen because that would have devastated her.
In the story that you wrote, you talked about how like you were on stage and you felt like this crazy sensation in your body, like when it happened. Like, do you believe in like a higher power because of that?
I mean, I'm Catholic, so you kind of believe in God, but I felt that surge on stage.
Yeah,
it was insane. I was open for Andrew Dice Clay in front of like 1,000 people, and like 7 minutes of my set, I just felt this. I'm like, what the fuck was that? Like I felt like I got electrocuted, like I stepped on a wire on the stage or something. I swear to God. And I got off stage, and I looked at my voicemail, and she called me, and she never does. And she called, and she was crying, saying, I got to do this. I'm sorry. I just need to be out of pain. And that was, so maybe that's when it was happening. I was doing it like a 20-minute. So maybe that's right when she did it is when I felt that surge. But it was the weirdest thing ever.
Does that, like, what do you think that was? Like, what is that? That's not the first time, like, I've heard a story about someone feeling something like that when someone close to them, like, left this planet in that way.
I don't know. I never felt something like that before. And it was, when I got off stage and I heard that, it was like, oh, shit. And, and that's what it was. There must be a higher power because there's no reason that would have happened. And I've been on stage a million times. I've been on stage where I needed 2 root canals, and I was in so much pain. I didn't have money to get them, but and once I got on that stage, the adrenaline, I wouldn't feel a thing. So just that I felt that, that was her leaving me.
I'm going to cry.
No, I don't want you to cry.
Damn.
But yeah, it was, you know, what are you going to do? But, you know, if I would have known, I couldn't have saved her. Even if I would have known all the tricks, you know, what I know about, you know, if I just want to lay down, never go to sleep, you know, never wake up, all that stuff that she would say, it's still, she would have done it at some point. And that's the advice I got from people are experts on it at some point, because she didn't get the proper help. But the childhood that she had, the most awful childhood ever that she's ever had. And, you know, I understand where she was coming from. You know, when she would say that to her, I go, come on, why would you do that? We got a good life together. And that was the wrong thing to say. Not that she did it because of that, but that's not the right thing to say, you know?
And what would you have said? I know you said it before. But...
I tried, like, I did a few months before, well, like a year before, I got her in contact with her real mom, and they started having a good relationship.
Right.
She came to visit us a few times. She had all these cousins that she didn't know. She had a brother. So I really thought that was helping. I'm like, fine, I think she's out of this. I think it's going to be okay. But ultimately it wasn't.
Do you, like, if someone was listening right now that's like having suicidal thoughts and is kind of like maybe help refusing, or just kind of thinking like what would you say to them?
They're not a burden. People love you. They don't want you to leave. Even though you think maybe you're a pain in the ass, you know, the people and you're asking, they're like, oh, they're frustrated with you. They want you around, you know. And I understand, you know, you have to understand why they feel that way. But it's, you know, the thing with someone with suicide's weird, because you could have a breakup. Like, you could break up with somebody and somebody will do that. Like, that's a strange reaction. People break up all the time. Nobody really does that. You lose a job, you get fired from your job, and they'll commit suicide. Like, why would they? But that's just a whole lifelong of that was just the ultimate. That's when it happened. You know what I mean? There was years of that building up, and that was just a trigger point. Something small like that, like a breakup, you get over. A job loss you get over, but to them, they can't think of anything else. I'm in this little. All they see is this vision that they can never be happy again. That their whole life is so fucked up. I gotta leave, because I'm never gonna find another girlfriend. I'm never gonna find another boyfriend, and I'm never gonna find another job. Whatever it is, something stupid like that. That most people don't react like that, and they're like, I just want to be out of pain at this moment, and that's it.
What about someone that's just like, that just feels like they can't enjoy life? Like, I think, I feel like there are people that feel like they can't enjoy being alive. Like, it's just miserable for them.
No, absolutely. And that's something, you know, that you're born with, you know, and it's tough because, you know, depression is a disease. Like, I always thought, oh, you're depressed, just get over it. That's what everybody thinks. But it's a disease, just like cancer or diabetes. You know, so when you see somebody like, why are you always in a bad mood? Why are you so down? It's a disease. You know, so people make fun of it, like, oh, come on, what are you bummed out over that? Whatever, you're going to meet somebody else, whatever it is. But it is a disease, and no one really tells you that. Most people just go, just get over it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's not, they can't get over it. They don't think like you. There's like a loose wire in their brain is what it is.
It's so weird because, like, people forget that, like, the brain is an organ like anything else, and it's a chemical. Like, I've been on antidepressants since I was 16. Like, I don't even know what the fuck's happening in my brain at this point.
Right.
But I think that I feel like people are pretty resistant to medication. But I think that, like, and I don't think that medication on its own can do anything. Like, I think that, like anything else, like, you need to take medication and you need to do the work. But I think that medication's a really powerful thing and it can help a lot of people. But I think things can always get better, and time can, like, always help people.
You know, medication, someone's bipolar, you need a medication to even them out, absolutely, you know, but eating right, exercising, to get out in the sun, get some vitamin D, that's real important. Being around good people, social media, get off social media, stop reading fucking nasty comments about you. I mean, this generation I feel really bad for, because, you know, people that want to post whatever, you know, when I got, you know, I got bullied a little in school, but it wasn't that bad. But when I was growing up, when I got bullied, I just got bullied from 9 o'clock in the morning to 3.
Yeah.
And that was it. And then I could go play with my friends and I eat with my family. And then the next day I had to deal with it again. I didn't have to deal with it 24 hours a day. So now some kid that's on TikTok and all the other kids are making fun of them, and then they leave in comments, you suck, you're gay, whatever. They're dealing with it all day, all night. And that's why you see younger people committing suicide too, because they don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
You know, and they don't need that. It's like, and everyone just looks the other way. Like I always said, I think I told you, I go, they should not have any comments under anything you post. No comments. People cannot comment on it. It really fucks up people's mental health to read that. So I don't read any of it. I see a few on Instagram. I don't want to read it because they're not. If they didn't like it, they're not really my fans to begin with. So I don't care. Like I'm not trying to appeal to everybody. So that's the way I always looked at it. Like I don't need to read that. You know, but it really fucks with your head, no matter how strong you are when people say shit like that. You know, and it's really, you know, and on every little social media and everyone leaving comments and people are just, you know, behind, you know, when they're home and with their phone, they feel like they're fucking, oh, yeah, I'm going to fuck with you. You know, and they don't realize the damage they're doing to people.
Yeah, I'm at the point where, like, if someone texts me, I want to throw my phone. Not everyone.
Is that why you didn't get back to me today about what time I was supposed to be here?
No.
No, I know, but
I feel like there's so many negative comments, and of course there are positive ones too. But it's people are just so cruel to each other that and just they're just so cruel that it's like you can't help but for it to seep into your subconscious, and it's very toxic and it's very shitty.
Just imagine like you live a regular life, right? You're a school teacher. Whatever, the guy works in a factory, and he comes home and he says to his wife, man, you're getting fat. Look how fucking fat you are.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Look, I see cellulite. I can't fuck you. You know what I mean? Like your face is all fucked. You're going to get a nose job? You look like a man. Like, oh, man, it's like you're really letting yourself go. Your tits are sagging. Imagine if a guy says that to just that's what's going on online.
I know.
A woman posts a picture, and then you get that stuff. You know, so how do you think that feels? Just imagine, I mean, a woman never forgets that you said that once.
I also feel
if you're in a relationship, and now you're getting it from these strangers, and it's like, how does that not affect your mental health?
I'm also at this point where I walk around, I look at people, and I'm like, they're allowed to walk around like that. If I walked around like that, people would say this, 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 and this.
What do you mean walk around like what?
Like I see flaws in other people.
Oh.
And then I feel like if I were to like have those flaws, like people would be pointing them out and saying nasty things.
No, it's true. I know, but they, you know.
Like, for example, like Joe Biden, he has very hairy ears. He doesn't do anything about them. But if my ears were that hairy, people would be very mean about them.
Yes, they would. They would. It's, you know, and that's, I mean, people always saying about bullying, don't bully, but meanwhile, everybody's pretty much doing it online and leaving nasty comments. Like, I would never like leave a nasty comment. It's just like if I don't like it, I just don't say anything.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't do that. It's like I'm a good guy. Look, my podcast, I make fun of everything on social media. I try not to. I don't mention names. Once in a while, I'll make fun of a celebrity, but I just keep it anonymous. Some stupid post about their food or something, and so I keep it anonymous at least. So I'm not attacking that person. I'm not going to their Facebook page going, "What the fuck did you post your meatball sandwich for? Who gives a shit?"
Well, it's weird because you already feel like the whole world is against you, just like by nature. And so then there are these little things that are kind of like proving it, you know? Like, I don't know why. Like, I think because of like my trauma, I already feel like it's me against the world. And so then, like, when there's shitty comments, it feels like it's these little things affirming that that's reality. And then like I was at this tattoo convention, it was awesome, and I was walking and there was like a tattoo artist that was like, "Hey Natalie, you're really funny." And I was like, "Oh, this is fucking awesome." And I was like, "Whoa, people actually think I'm funny. This is cool." But it's like you almost are separated from reality when you're just given like really, you're fed negativity all the time. I'm also fed positivity, but as my therapist says, you could be given 99 compliments and one insult, and unfortunately all you hear is the insult.
Of course. It's just like when you're doing stand-up and you see 100 people laughing and there's one in the front that's
one
not.
person.
And you're like, why? Why are they not laughing? It's the same thing.
Last night I was like fucking, or maybe it was 2 nights ago, I was like crushing, and everyone was like enjoying themselves except for this one fucking girl had this she was probably high. She had this fucking face like this, and I just couldn't help myself. I couldn't help myself but call her out, and it ruined my set. I couldn't help myself. Like if I had just kept going, I would be fine, but I had to fucking call this girl out because her fucking stank face was pissing me off.
No, I get it. I'm the same way. I try to look over the crowd. crowd. So if I need to talk to somebody in the front, I just look over the head. So I don't want to see anyone's faces. I like a room super dark.
I like it dark as well.
So I want it super dark. Just people in the front row, and that's it.
I like it very dark, but if the lights are on, I can't help but look at everyone.
Oh, and you can't. I know. It's when the room's
and
well lit.
I
I hate
it.
Face,
I want to like. I also the other night there was this guy. Everyone was laughing, and there's this guy on his phone. He's on his phone just texting, and everyone's happy. But he's on his phone texting, and I was so mad. And I said, Jim, why are you texting my whole fucking set? You're too ugly to be texting. I said that, Jim. I said that. It was so bad.
That's all right. No, look, because he's interrupting your work.
I'm like, what are you doing?
Right.
The lights are on. I can see you. It's so fucking rude. This isn't Netflix. This isn't a TV. I'm right fucking here. It's rude.
No, it is. Absolutely. But he doesn't.
I shouldn't have said you're too ugly to be texting. What am I doing? It was just, I was so mad.
Did the crowd laugh?
Yeah.
And that's all that matters.
The crowd laughed, and like for some reason I can get away with this, but I'm like, oh, Natalie, stop.
Because
I just went through and I insulted everyone.
Good for you. Yeah, I don't know where this anger is coming from. No, but you were at work and he interrupted your work. You know, he should at least walk out of the room to go text, go to the bathroom. He doesn't have to do it right in front of you. I don't care what it is. His girlfriend's like, when are you going to be home? You know, just go walk out of the room and go finish
People
that.
sit there and they're just scroll. It's like, dude, I'm a fucking human.
I know.
It's like fucking rude.
You can't take that stuff too personally. It's going to happen all the time.
I know. I gotta chill.
You know, you can't. I always tell you, I go, don't even read the comments. But you're like, no, it helps with the algorithm. I go, is it worth your mental health?
No.
To help with the algorithm?
No.
You're already selling a lot of tickets. People love you. You're doing great.
Really?
Oh yeah. I mean. Yeah, no, you are. But seriously, does it really, it's especially as a female, because it's a lot,
Yeah. No,
it's a lot tougher to
that.
take when they hit you personally about your looks or whatever it is,
No,
so
it's whatever.
Is it really worth it though?
No, I haven't been reading them lately, and it's been just a delight.
I just posted and I never look again. I don't even know. Twitter, there's a thing you could put on where if someone doesn't follow you, you'll never see any comments. I don't care. Like, I'm not going to let it affect. I gotta go hang with my son. I'm not going to let some guy go and you're not funny.
That's what's awesome about when you have a kid. When you have a kid, you're like, when I'm around kids, I'm like, oh, kids are so real. They're so present that you're like, oh, this is what matters. Like, dude, when I'm around kids, I'm like, oh my God, they're so in touch with what matters because they haven't seen like as much of the darkness of the world and they're so fucking present that you're like, oh, it really grounds you in what matters in the world. That's why I love being around kids. Like, it just really takes you out of that. No, it's very refreshing.
It is. I mean, like, my kid goes to like this basketball courts at the rec center in my town. Him, like 5 of his friends. I pick up 5 of his friends, and they just play on the court and they're messing around. I just sit there and just hang and watch. I mean, I don't, I got to be there just in case some fucking creepy guy comes around and tries to kidnap him, whatever. The other parents, like, you just hang out. I love just watching them have fun. Like, they have no problems. There's no stress in their life. They're just being kids and busting balls and having fun and playing basketball. And I love just seeing that going on.
Everyone always says like, oh, like a kid is like the hardest part of a breakup. My dad also warned me about that in like past relationships. I'm like, oh, that's such a cliche, but like it really fucking is. I'm like, I feel like kids like understand people in a way that adults don't because their minds aren't clouded with all of the bullshit yet.
Absolutely.
They're so tuned into things and they notice like human dynamics in a way that we put up blinders to because we're distracted now.
Absolutely. And when I got divorced, I made sure, I said, I'm not going to bring these women in and out of my house, and my son's going to get attached to them, and then they're going to be out of my life. And he's like, oh, where did she go? I liked her.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to really get to know somebody and start dating them before I'm going to introduce them to my kid because I don't want that to happen. I have so many comic friends like, I like that guy. Where's that guy, Mama? He's gone. And the next guy's there. It's like, and the next guy.
Yeah, and then they feel abandoned and you can't explain it to them. And it's really fucking sad.
So yeah, it definitely, has affected my life in that sense. But I'm like, it's about my kid. I got to do it for him.
Yeah.
And I don't want him to see, oh, it's just cool for dad to parade women in and out. So then he's going to be like, well, that's what dad did.
Yeah.
He's going to get laid on his own. He's got blonde hair, blue eyes. He's already rapping with chicks. Yeah, it's great.
He is so fucking cool.
Yeah.
Can you shuffle the cards?
Shuffle them.
Oh, we're going to pull from 2 decks today.
So
a lot of energy. We're going to do an oracle deck and a tarot deck, Jim.
Yeah. I did go to some. Well, I went to a shaman to help me. Like,
will you shuffle this one as well?
yeah. And then I went to some, like, it wasn't tarot cards, but some girl was telling me out in L.A. when I was out there, all that new age shit. Go to this woman. She's really intuitive. And I'll never forget this because I wasn't even thinking about having kids. She goes, in 3 years, you're going to be married. You're going to have at least one kid and maybe two. And the second
And
one's
she's
going to
poke a hole in the condom.
Or the pill-in work was a new one on the market. But,
Sure there was.
Yeah. No, sometimes they don't research them enough.
Did you ever see her take a pill? Okay. I'm going to...
Yeah, the multivitamin. Does that count? But and I wasn't even thinking about having kids at that point. And I'm like, this woman's crazy. And it happened. Next thing I know, I was married and had one kid. She was off by one kid, but I'm like, holy shit.
The One of Cups. How interesting. Cups are emotion, creativity.
Yeah.
Shut up. I don't. All right. Let's see.
But would you ever, let me ask something, with your tarot cards and your, horoscopes, would you ever date a guy, like whatever the worst month is, whatever the worst horoscope is, whatever that one is, what if you found a guy that was really, you liked a lot?
Yeah, I would.
Would you not date him because he was born in that month?
It just, I've never been compatible with a Taurus. Like, there's never been a person that's a Taurus that we've just hit it off. Friend, romantic, we just don't get along. Like,
what is that month?
I don't know.
No, what is that month? The
I
Taurus.
don't know. We just don't. You know why I don't know?
No, when is it? When are the dates? What's a Taurus? I don't know.
I don't know the dates.
Is it May or June?
Something May. We just don't mesh. Like, our personalities, we just don't get each other. We're just never like, oh, the conversation flows. Same with Aquarius. It just, we don't flow. Sorry. It just doesn't flow. I'd love to meet one that we flow. I've never had a best friend or a boyfriend where they were that sign and the conversation just flowed.
You think maybe it's you?
No, I think it's them because I fucking mesh with other people. Listen, prove me wrong, but...
All right. So if you meet a girl and you start liking her, just, as a friend, and you want to be a good friend, but she's an Aquarius, you're gonna
it's fine.
Be standoffish?
It's not that I'll be standoffish. It's just like, it's for some reason the dynamic is weird. Like my ex, Jake, his mom was an Aquarius. She was cool. I felt like we had a good dynamic, but our conversation never flowed.
What do you mean it didn't flow?
It just wasn't like, natural. Whatever.
That's where you got to, like, what you would say, hey, Jake's a good guy, I like the way he, whatever. And she's like, oh, really?
She's just like, cool. Whatever. I've just never met someone with those signs where we just like kind of like,
maybe
woo!
She's socially awkward.
She wasn't socially awkward. She was very cool.
Maybe you intimidated her.
I didn't intimidate her. I'm not very intimidating.
You're not?
No, I can't find this card.
Well, maybe he's a mama's boy and you were taken away.
He is a mama's
boy.
boy.
There you go. That's why.
All right, that was a bad example.
Okay, so you were taken.
Is this called the chalice? Okay. Is this a chalice, you'd say? What's a chalice? A cup?
A chalice is like, some like kind of, this looks like the
Ace of Chalices represents the source of emotional life, of receptiveness, of abundance, of the home as both a property and as a family. This is the arcana of fertility, of metamorphosis, and of fulfilled affections. It can, however, bring with it inconsistency, coldness, and a sense of dissatisfaction and a loss of faith. Having thought properly about your choices, you will be ready to take on a new phase of creativity and change that will bring something new to light. I don't get what it means, really.
I don't either.
Okay, let me read it again.
But wait, so you're saying
it's about the episode.
Oh, this is about the episode.
Yeah.
So what we talked about.
Yeah.
Somehow the episode where we talked about get into that card that you turned over.
Yes, Jim.
Okay, all right. And then you're going to read from the book to see what it meant in the card.
You're so fucking annoying.
I just want to know how it works.
Yes, Jim, that's how it works. The Ace of Chalices represents the source of emotional life, of receptiveness, of abundance, of the home as both a property and as a family. The words are just too big.
Can't they just simplify and go, yeah, it was a good episode?
This is the arcana of fertility, of metamorphosis, and of fulfilled affections. It can, however, bring with it the inconsistency, coldness, a sense of dissatisfaction, and a loss of faith. Having thought properly about your choices, you'll be ready to take on a new phase of creativity and change that will bring something new to light. All right. I think that's very good for you. Both put out an album, so we just, something new is going to come. And,
Okay, so something-
home, family.
Okay, well, yeah, well, look, hey, all right, let's see. Let's see if this happens because I got a big meeting in L.A.
Yep.
in a few days. So let's see
I
if
know.
this whole thing.
Yep, let's see.
If there
oh,
could
we
be the
have a new
card.
project brewing. We do.
Okay, so if it happens, then the
Ace
card.
of Chalices, whoop-de-doo-dah.
All right. Then I'm buying in. Then I'm like, I'm all in.
All right, well,
then
that
my son's
fucking-
getting tarot cards for Christmas.
Oh, well, I've already taught him so much about astrology. It's crazy. He talks about it in conversation.
Yeah, well, he's brought it up. Yeah,
Tell them that it's correct.
Well, yeah, you go, you're emotional,
No, but he likes astrology now.
Nah.
He's interested in it.
He's interested in a lot. He's willing
Yeah,
to
but
learn.
he likes it. He goes, okay, so what does this sign mean? He'll be like, true,
yeah.
true.
Right.
He likes it.
Well, when you say, you're outgoing,
I-
you have a lot of friends. Like, yeah, true. Yeah, I'm a fucking kid that's got a lot of friends.
No, I tell him that he's a Leo, so he's passionate, he's creative, he's social.
Is that weird that we have both the same birthday?
Yeah, it's very cool. It's very special, but you have different rising signs.
Uh-oh. Yeah, because I was born in the morning. I'm a little different than if I was born at night.
Yes, exactly. Exactly, Jim. So for this one, you're just going to pick a card.
Okay.
Wow. What do we get here?
Attack, pain, fear, judgment, and any form of separation or merely calls for help.
Oh, no, I've pulled this on before. I've pulled this before. This is so crazy. I've pulled this on the podcast before.
Yeah.
Attack, pain, fear, judgment, any form of... This fits with the podcast.
Attack,
We
pain,
did talk
fear.
about suicide. Attack, pain, fear, judgment, and any form of separation are merely calls for help. And then we'll pull one more just
Yeah,
to
let's
see if
pull
any
one more because I
happiness
feel like that was
arrives.
set up. Like you almost did it like Old Maid. You held the card out and you stuck
No,
one way
I
out.
did not.
So I'm like, oh, you want me
You
to pick
got to
this
pull
one?
any card that you want.
You felt. When I accept the love of the universe as my primary teacher, I will always be guided back to the light.
Oh, that's so lovely, Jim.
What does that mean? I'm
I
a
don't know.
Leo,
Why don't you
though.
read it to me again?
I feel like I'm reading to my child. When I accept the love of the universe as my primary teacher, I will always be guided back to the light.
That's gorgeous.
Yeah, I mean that sounds like a Hallmark card.
Oh, it's not. It's not a Hallmark card, but it is a card.
All right, so whatever's out
What can
there.
you take away from that? It's a beautiful card. Oh, beautiful, beautiful card. Wow, look at the beautiful card.
All right,
Gorgeous.
yeah. So if something's out there, just if there's love in the universe, just accept it.
Oh, wow. Love.
That should be good. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah, great. Wow, it really is. There another card too, or is that it?
No, we've done enough.
Okay.
Jim, I mean, I only have the studio for 2 more minutes, so where can people find you?
I'll be at the New Age store getting tarot cards.
And you've got an album and a special?
I have my comedy special, Bite the Bullet, is on Amazon Prime. You can rent it or buy it there. New Terrorizing Telemarketers, Volume 7, if you like prank calls, is wherever you listen to music. It's #1 in the comedy charts right now. So, yeah, so I got that, and then I'm on tour the whole fall, all over the place.
Amazing. And thank you guys for watching. Follow me at Natalie Cuomo _ on Instagram, at Natalie Cuomo on everything else. Subscribe to me on Patreon. Lots of fun, extra content on there. Patreon.com/Natalie Cuomo. Also, you can watch the podcast a week early. Twitch.tv/Natalie Cuomo. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week.